In the most recent JW broadcasting, it was announced that the theme of the 2026 Regional Conventions of Jehovah's Witnesses will be eternal happiness. As always, it has to be said, the theme is quite marketable. In just one phrase, they suggest that Jehovah's Witnesses are happy. But not only that, they'll be happy forever in the paradise they've been waiting for decades. A paradise that never seems to arrive. On the other hand, in the invitation they quote the well-known passage of Jesus' Beatitudes in order to give the convention theme a biblical foundation. All of this leads us to ask some important questions. Are Jehovah's Witnesses truly happy people, or is this just a front to attract new followers? Do their beliefs actually make them happier, or is happiness simply a promise used to keep you inside the organization? Ready to find out the answers to these questions? The Watchtower has always tried to sell the image of a happy people, even using phrases like the happiest people on earth. But is that happiness real, or is it just a marketing slogan? There's a statistic that, as far as I know, the Watchtower has never mentioned in its publications or videos, and yet it's very revealing. In 2016, the Pew Research Center reported that 2 out of 3 children raised in Jehovah's Witness families leave the organization as adults. Based on that statistic, the question is obvious. If Jehovah's Witnesses are the happiest people on earth, why do those who are born into it run away from the organization once they become adults? A troubling question, wouldn't you agree? Well, it turns out that the leaders themselves, without even intending to, give us a clue as to why there is so much dissatisfaction within the organization. In that very same JW broadcasting where they announced the convention, eternal happiness. Let's take a look at what Mr. Patrick LaFranca said.
Dear friends, have you ever felt like this sister who wrote in a letter, "No matter how much I love Jehovah or how much effort I put forth to serve him, I always feel that it is not good enough." Sadly, at times, our imperfect hearts can tell us that no matter how hard we try, we're never good enough to please Jehovah.
It's truly incredible how these leaders look, without actually seeing, and know without truly understanding. Let me tell you something that happened to me about 25 or 30 years ago, when I was still one of Jehovah's Witnesses. At the time, I already sensed, through my own experience, that feeling Mr. LaFranca is referring to. So I decided to ask a regular pioneer sister with a good reputation. "Sister, if Armageddon came today, do you think Jehovah would save you?" Her answer was very revealing. She said, "No, he wouldn't save me, because I still have a long way to go before becoming a good Jehovah's Witness." I remember replying something like, "Well then, what's the purpose of Christ's sacrifice?" I should clarify, this sister was someone who did study Watchtower publications. That's why her answer is so striking. She said that for Jehovah to apply the value of his son's sacrifice to us, we first had to become worthy of it, and that she still had a long way to go before being worthy of Christ's sacrifice. I didn't want to continue the conversation, but I kept thinking, isn't it supposed to be the other way around? Didn't Christ die for us precisely because no one is worthy of salvation? Now, I understand that part of the problem is that many witnesses don't want to fall into the opposite extreme. The opposite extreme would be those who claim to have accepted Christ as Lord in their hearts, but whose behavior is the complete opposite of what a Christian should be. It's true that it says in James 2:26, "Indeed, just as the body without spirit is dead, so also faith without works is dead." But on the other hand, it also says in Ephesians 2:8-9, "By this undeserved kindness you have been saved through faith, and this is not of your own doing. Rather, it is God's gift. No, it is not a result of works, so that no one should have grounds for boasting." There is clearly a theological tension between these two passages, a tension that continues to be debated in the Christian world. But here's the point I want to make. Even though the Watchtower officially teaches that salvation comes through Christ's sacrifice, and that works are simply an expression of that faith, in practice, the leaders have consistently applied psychological pressure on their followers to keep working hard in favor of the organization's interests. In other words, works, which should be a natural result of faith, among Jehovah's Witnesses, become the result of psychological pressure from their leaders. And naturally, anything done under psychological pressure is done out of obligation, not faith, and anything done out of obligation does not make us happy. So what should be a spontaneous act, sharing one's faith out of a genuine desire to share something deeply meaningful, becomes, in the case of Jehovah's Witnesses, an act driven by the desire to please those in positions of authority. By the way, if you think this message is important, leave a like, share it with someone who might benefit from it, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell so you don't miss any videos. You can also join the channel membership. That way, you'll get access to special content where I can speak more openly about sensitive topics. Just click the link in the description. And to those who have already joined, thank you. Your support makes it possible to keep creating this content. Let's continue. For example, it is well known that recently the governing body removed the requirement to report field service hours. However, this has not eliminated the culture of viewing participation in preaching as evidence of spiritual health. In the past, when the circuit overseer visited a congregation, his first activity, before even holding the first official meeting, was to review the congregation's field service report. Based on that report, he would analyze questions like, what is the congregation's average number of hours? Is it above or below the national average? Did it increase or decrease since the last visit? How many magazines and books were placed? How many Bible studies were conducted? And so on, and so on. With that information as a foundation, the circuit overseer would deliver a message to the congregation and leave written recommendations for the local elders. All of this would then be included in a report sent to the Watchtower branch. Naturally, a negative report from the circuit overseer created pressure on the local elders, a pressure that, of course, was passed down to the congregation. The fact that they recently removed the hour reporting requirement does not automatically erase the culture that this system created. A culture in which the more you are seen in field service, the better the local elders think of you. But beyond that, preaching is not the only thing Jehovah's Witnesses are expected to do. As part of their theocratic responsibilities, they are expected to attend meetings at the Kingdom Hall twice a week, prepare for those meetings in advance, engage in personal study and family study, conduct Bible studies with potential new disciples, read the organization's magazines and watch its videos, read the daily text, pray, meditate, be a good father or mother, be a good worker, be a good son or daughter, be a good student, and so on. All of this, on top of dealing with external pressures, such as not celebrating birthdays, Christmas, and other holidays. What I personally observed during my time as one of Jehovah's Witnesses is that those who tried the hardest to meet all the expectations of the Watchtower inevitably ended up with chronic fatigue or burnout. Can someone truly be happy when they constantly feel exhausted, and on top of that, burdened with guilt for never managing to do everything that a good Jehovah's Witness is supposed to do? Can someone be happy when the most important thing in their life is their religion, and yet, like in the case of my friend, they still believe they won't be saved? Oh yes, the image of happiness is nothing more than a marketing strategy, because the organization's own culture generates dissatisfaction and unhappiness within its ranks. But there's more. There are other factors, beyond those already mentioned, that contribute to unhappiness among Jehovah's Witnesses. Despite the changes in perspective introduced last year regarding higher education, the organization still maintains that the best career is full-time service. A good young Jehovah's Witness is expected to study only what is necessary to qualify for a job that allows them to become a pioneer. But what happens when a young person does not feel naturally inclined toward preaching? They feel guilty. Within Jehovah's Witness theology, there is no real emphasis on the idea that God gave each person different talents. So, while some may feel completely at ease socializing and preaching, others may feel stressed because their natural abilities lie elsewhere. Why should full-time service be the best path for everyone? There are careers that may have no value for the watchtower and yet could be the true passion of a young person. Unfortunately, within Jehovah's Witness theology, there is no real concept that someone could use even those talents, considered useless by the organization, for the glory of God. On top of that, there is the constant tension within Jehovah's Witness families. What happens when a family member begins to drift away from the organization? It almost inevitably leads to endless arguments, simply because someone is becoming, as they would say, spiritually weak. Not to mention when someone actually leaves the organization. That can completely shatter the peace within a household. And it's no surprise. Family members who remain loyal to the organization genuinely believe that those who are drifting away, or worse, those who leave, will be destroyed at Armageddon. And who would want that fate for someone they love? Can someone truly be happy while being convinced that their spouse, their son, or their daughter will be destroyed at Armageddon? And I won't even get into how painful it can be when a witness has personal conflicts with other members of the congregation, which is actually quite common. But you can imagine how that only adds more stress for those who remain inside the organization. So there you have it. There are many reasons why Jehovah's Witnesses are not truly happy. And yes, that image of happiness they try to project is nothing more than a front they will use to influence others in their upcoming series of regional conventions. It is also a promise, one that keeps many people holding on to the organization, hoping that one day it will finally come true. A day that, for the reasons we've discussed, never comes. Would you like to go deeper into how the beliefs imposed by the governing body negatively impact Jehovah's Witnesses? Click the link at the top right, and at the bottom right, I'm leaving you another video that I'm sure you'll find interesting.